Hello, everyone. Welcome to another meeting with my favorite professor, Bruce McGraw, the author of the book, The Magical Universe, Answering the Call of Climate Change for Personal and Global Transformation. I believe that he has a lot to teach us. So, welcome, Bruce. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So, let me ask you this question. Why did you write this book?
Well, I wrote this book because I believe we're in a meta crisis and in our world, in our society. And by meta crisis, it means it's not just a crisis in one or two areas, but the whole system is in crisis. And when the whole system is in crisis, it means an old way of thinking and an old order is starting to die, and a new order needs to be born to be able to handle this crisis. And so we're really at the stage now where, in order to get beyond this crisis, we need to make an evolutionary leap in our being. And I think the climate crisis to me is really emblematic of this situation because it's the one crisis which, if we don't deal with it properly, could mean the end of our civilization here on this planet. And as I study this, for a while there, I was really flabbergasted that nobody paid attention to it. Even now, we see these climate disasters happening all the time, and they barely get a notice. Then I finally realized that climate change really wasn't the problem. The real problem was when people thought about climate change, it's all these negative feelings that would come up in them, feelings like helplessness and hopelessness and fear and anxiety, and just a feeling like, what can I do? It's too big a problem. I can't do anything. And they would stuff these feelings down. And then I realized it's not only climate change feelings that people stuff down a lot, it's in our day-to-day lives. We have lots of things that happen and create negative opinions and states of mind in ourselves, and we stuff those down too. So when climate change comes along, it's not just worries about climate. I think all that stuff comes up. And so it seems like humanity itself is in a crisis. And the crisis is human beings cannot face themselves. They're afraid of themselves. They're running away from themselves. And then I realized that climate change is really the universe's way to try to wake us up because we can stuff all our personal feelings down in our day-to-day life and life kind of goes on. But climate change is one of those problems. If we keep stuffing them down and we don't deal with it, we're going to end life on the planet as we know it. There's going to be a real cost. So I think climate change is the universe's way to tell us either you start to face yourselves or that's going to be it. And so it's telling us we can't run away from these problems anymore, and that we're in a real crisis point. And so now we have to think about what we're going to do about this.
Yes. So, my second question for you would be, what makes this different from other XYZ books or like the genre of this book?
Yeah, well, this book is different, I think, well, books that deal with climate change, because a lot of people have read my books that, the thing about most books on climate change, they're so negative and I don't want to read them. But your book, despite of what I just said, is actually pretty positive because what I try to do is I try to put the whole climate change issue in a broader perspective so we can get a handle on it. Because when you see things in a broader perspective, you can understand it better. And when you understand something better, I don't know, it makes you feel calmer. You feel like you're a little bit more in control of this situation. And so, if you look at humanity has had crisis before, and maybe not as big as this one. This is a big one. And the universe itself has had, in the whole 13.8 billion year evolution of the universe, it has had crisis. And I started to study these crises. And the amazing thing was that every time the universe would hit a crisis in its evolution, just when there was only matter in the universe, that somehow, when you think it was going to stop, I mean, what could have happened to keep the story going forward? The universe created some new entity, a new being, a new something, almost miraculously to continue the story on. And I thought, this one thing this shows is that there's an intelligence embedded in the universe. And I'm not talking about a God intelligence sitting above everything, running the show, but I'm talking about an intelligence embedded in the whole creative process itself. In other words, the whole creative process itself is intelligence. And so this is this climate change problem, our problem now is really, if you look at it in the broad thing, it's just another crisis in the form of the universe. And if the universe has intelligence, the universe knows how to solve this problem. The only problem is we've lost touch with this intelligence in the universe because we're wrapped up in all our issues that we keep running away from. And so what we need to do is go through those issues to get in touch with the intelligence of the universe. And when we do that, the universe will then tell us what we need to do next. So I think, that's the unique picture is that I'm showing this is part of the evolutionary problem. It's a normal thing. We just have to kind of move beyond it.
Yes, so before I go to the next question, can you show us the book on the screen? Yeah, just for the viewers
Yeah,
to
this is the
see.
magical universe
Yeah,
answering the call of climate change for personal and global
yes.
transformation. Thank you.
And okay, so my next question is, what research you went to? Yeah, I mean, what kind of research you did for this book?
Yeah, well, there's philosophy and religious studies and mythology in the book, and I teach that at the college level, and so I feel pretty familiar with that. But one thing I wasn't familiar with was the story of the universe. So I had to spend a lot of time figuring out the story of the universe and mapping out this, especially the big changes that occurred, the crisis points through the 13.8 billion year history. And over again, I saw the miraculous nature of the universe as it solved one problem after another. And and one of the biggest issues I think that, I can just one example is that how, since most of the history of the universe is it's all matter, and then, look, what, almost a little less than 4 billion years ago, life was created. And the question is, how did life emerge from matter? There are origins of life studies that go on in the universities now, trying to recreate the ancient universe to see if they can't create chemical reactions that will make life appear, and they can't get anywhere near close to that. And that's just one of the miracles. How did molten rock give birth to life? And so that's just one of the miracles that sort of happened. And there's just a lot of them. And my book goes through a lot of these miracles. And what that does is it creates a certain awe and wonder at the universe. And I think that's the kind of state of mind we need to be in.
Yes. Um, Also, what would be a good fit to read this book?
Or who would be a good fit? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's at all thinking about what's going on. I mean, I think the tension is increasing now in this meta crisis. We can feel it. It's all over where there's so much going on now. And you can either run away from it or you can face it head on. And I think when I give the big picture, it gives people some space in which to deal with these problems. And so I think anybody who's looking for answers, who doesn't want to run away anymore, who wants to face themselves and face the situation we're in, this book is for them.
Yes. And also, who would not be a good fit for this book?
Yeah,
So
that's
this
a
is the
tough one because I think
opposite.
everybody should be a good fit for this book. But
Yeah.
I guess, there are people out there who don't look at the problems maybe in such stark terms that I do. They think, there's just little problems here and there. And if we just tinker around the edges, we can fix it. We don't have to make any massive changes. We just get the right person in power or the right people in power. They'll do all the right things. And so I think people who don't see it in quite the stark terms I do, maybe, that would not be for them.
Yes.
But
Yes.
so that's who I think maybe it wouldn't be for.
Okay. My last question would be, how can people find you and your book?
Well, I think, if you want to find out more about me and about my book, you can just tap on the links below.
Yes, and also as the viewers see, there are links under the screen, and also they will find them, and also access to the book, the Kindle version, and also the paper printed version in the links below. And I appreciate see you again, and I hope, Bruce, do you have anything to say before we finish?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you very much for
Okay.
doing this interview.
Thank you. And I hope to see you again, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.